Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Commodity TV today here out of our home studio due to the coronavirus crisis. We are also locked off here, and with me here is now from Vancouver directly Bradford Cook, the CEO and co-founder of Endeavour Silver. And of course, we want to talk about an update on Corona, what is going on in the company here and in Mexico. And of course, we also like to do an update on the Terronera project. Brad, welcome, and very unusual. Normally, I see you directly in front of me. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. And even though we're not able to travel, it's wonderful to contact all of our people and all of your listeners.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's quite early as you are 9 hours in front of us here. And let's get started directly. Endeavour's plan to deal with the current coronavirus, call it health crisis if you want, at your mind. So in Mexico, so what measures have you taken? What are you doing?
Well, we actually had a trial run at our mines on the weekend with some suspected cases. I'll come back to that. In late February, our board asked the management team to prepare a coronavirus plan, both prevention plan and response plan, and both in Vancouver head office and, of course, at all of our sites in Mexico. We were working on that plan and had all of the executive committee was formed. We had the Mexico committee formed. Even all the site-based committees were formed and working on detailed plans. And we organized a call last Friday to discuss when our VP of operations interrupted and said, well, I hate to say it, boys, but we have our first report of a suspected case of COVID-19 at Bolanitos. And we've already isolated him and we've interviewed him. We are now contacting the 40 people he came in contact with. We're going to tell them to go into self-isolation. We've already removed the bus from service that took him to the mine site. We're sterilizing it now. We've identified the 12 people he worked with at his workplace, basically the mechanic shop at the plant in Bolanitos, and started sterilizing the workplace. So it was like full-on action stations. And within 24 hours, all his symptoms went away. The government has a 1-811 COVID-19 emergency hotline for all of Mexico. So my COO phoned the hotline on the last Friday and said, look, we have this guy, and it's actually not a person, it's actually a computer recording, and it has a checklist, and you're supposed to answer to all of the symptoms. So Godfrey started listing off the simples: fever, aches. But as soon as he could not check a box, like no cough, no problem breathing, then the recording basically just interrupted him and said, you do not have COVID-19, go home.
Okay, good. So, that's good to hear. Thank you. That's fantastic.
And anyway, long story short is that we actually had 2 more incidents during the weekend. They both fortunately turned out to be false alarms, but what it was a really good test of our system. And we're confident that we're ahead of the curve. It is very difficult to maintain social distancing in any mine, especially an underground mine. But we've got full-on 100% daily monitoring of every person coming and going from every site. We have those handheld thermometers. We're doing personal checks on symptoms, and while we can't guarantee that everybody will be protected, and this is part of our program. We remind everybody in the daily shift talks, it's your personal responsibility to maintain your health and the health of your colleague. And so far, so good.
Absolutely. So, but that means you are still in production.
Yes, there's no interruption to the production. And while there is a risk, I mean, for instance, the governments in Peru and Ecuador and Argentina have all shut down the mines.
Same in South Africa from Friday onwards, I think, yeah.
So there's clearly some risk there. And Mexico's very early days yet. I was reading this morning that the Mexican government feels their peak won't happen until August.
Yeah, so let's see what happens. I mean, the good thing is that it's very warm and getting even warmer in Mexico. And so probably if we have a little bit of luck here, I'm not a virus doctor, of course, but if we have a little bit of luck, it goes a little bit the same way like with the flu virus, the normal one. When it's getting warm, it slowly disappears, yeah? So hopefully it goes the same way.
Yes.
Sure, we saw a lot of volatility in gold and silver prices. Thank God we are going up, up, up now. And I mean, the low was like 11.38, 39 in silver, I think. To me, that was probably the low because I found out that most of the silver, the primary silver miners, have all in production costs at average of approximately 11.50 to 12. So I think nobody can sustain at prices below 12 or even 13 because you need a margin, of course. And that's it to me a little bit like to say that the worst of the silver crash is done. As we know, this is only hoping and prediction, of course. We try to make the best out of that. So now we are going up again, especially gold is going up. And it looks to me like, and what you just said in our pre-talk, that you have more gold probably also in the production. So that helps you. So what is the impact on your operations by now and especially on the balance sheet? Because we know last year was not such a good funny year for you guys, right?
Yes, yes, this was supposed to be a bounce back year for
Yeah,
our operations. We modeled 1450 gold and $17 silver for our forecasts,
as an
and
average for the year.
as an
Yeah.
average for the year.
Hmm.
And of course, when gold fell almost to 1450 and silver to $12, we were redoing all of our models and reevaluating our mine plans. How can we survive $12 silver? Well, actually, when you look at our operations, two of the three operations are now gold dominant. Both El Compas and Bolanitos are dominantly gold this year.
Hmm.
Previously, Bolanitos has been balanced 50-50, but this is a gold-rich year at Bolanitos. So we realized that because gold was still hanging around $1,500, as long as Bolanitos and Compass follow the mine plans we laid out for them this year, those mines should be fine. If you
Hmm.
recall, our guidance was that each mine will generate free cash flow at the mine sites this year so that they could
Hmm.
pay for themselves.
Super, that is fantastic.
And that's a big difference from last year. The one mine we were very concerned about, the one that lost a lot of money last year, was Guanaceví. It was our dog, if you want to call it that. But this year we forecasted it would be our star. And the reason was very simple. Last year was a very bumpy and painful transition from closing older, deeper, lower grade mines that were losing money to opening shallower, thicker, and richer and lower cost mines to effectively hit the reset button
Hmm.
and remake the Guanaceví mine. Well, that was a very bumpy transition, but we're within 2 weeks of completing that transition. In about 2 weeks' time, the Guanaceví plant will be full again for the first time in 3 years, and
Hmm.
with much higher grades. So when you look at our performance in January and February, Guanaceví was the one mine that stood out for significantly exceeding the planned production so far this year. And because it's 90% silver, 10% gold, we were very concerned at $12 silver that even with the outperformance, maybe the mine's not going to make it. But then we realized that because of the outperformance, even at $12, we should be able to at least break even.
Super.
So I think we're comfortable now that we have models and mine plans that work at lower prices.
Hmm.
The bounce off of the lower prices, therefore, should be a bonus.
Hmm. Great, great to hear that. Fantastic. Can we also talk shortly about the Terronera project? Because I think there was a little bit like I wouldn't say an irritation, but in the last press release we saw that yeah, with the feasibility, pre-feasibility study, like it is going to be a little bit different than you thought. So maybe you can elaborate a bit on that.
Yes, if you recall, we actually let go our VP of new projects and hired a new director of project development in February who has much more experience. And we were still waiting for the new update pre feasibility study at that time. He took a deeper dive into both studies in late February and came back to us. His name's Ernesto Lima. He's built mines all over South America. And Ernesto told us that he could poke holes in both of the engineering studies, but his main concern was that they were based on different assumptions and that we couldn't actually compare them. We did last week receive a summary of the economics from the updated study, and that summary was not better. It was actually a little bit worse than the previous study. It was positive. I mean, we could have built a mine based on it, but we were expecting a better study.
Mhm.
And so Ernesto's recommendation was, look, we can poke holes in both of these studies. They've used different assumptions. why don't you let me and my team take this from here? Instead of going outside, let's do it in-house. Let's take this pre-feasibility study in-house. Let's do the final optimization ourselves. It's only going to take 1 to 3 months. We have a small team. We're extremely experienced. We'll check every assumption. We'll check every cost. And we'll come back to you with a reconceptualized project that will be bigger and better than anything you've done yet. So that's what we've done.
Mhm.
And he's also indicated the likelihood that he will recommend a full feasibility study just to finally de-risk the project and,
Mhm.
and open up other sources of capital, such as bank financing.
Mhm.
So this is what's happening with Terronera. We are spending money on it. We're moving it ahead.
That's important. Super. And so let's say for a full feasibility study, how long would that take then, if you would do that?
His estimate is that after the pre-fees is done, we're looking at about 9 months and somewhere
Mhm.
around $2 million. So that we can do. We can handle that ourselves, no problem.
And we are
And
still talking about $100 million?
so the total capex from JDS was higher than it was from P&E. Those are the two engineering firms. And I'm not going to speak to capex because Ernesto thinks he can get it down significantly.
Okay, super. So that's maybe then too early. So let's wait for the numbers. Fantastic. Anything you want to add? I think you had some good findings at Guanaceví also, right? We were talking already about the mine. Is that correct?
Yes, and as you are aware, in this current market environment, not too many companies are releasing news, but we do expect in the next 2 weeks both our first quarter production update. We'll
Mhm.
actually do a company-wide update at that time. And I do expect in April some news on new drilling of a new discovery at Guanaceví.
Fantastic. Hey, that's a great final word, Bradford. Thank you very much. The most important thing is stay healthy, please. Yeah, look after yourself. Also, I heard that gin tonic helps a lot against the virus, so make sure you have one from time to time. And yeah, I wish you all the best. Thank you very much, and we look really forward in approximately then 2 weeks when you have more updates and production updates, as I'm pretty sure we talk then again.
Perfect.
Thank
Thanks
you
very
very
much.
much. Okay, Brad, bye-bye. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Bradford Cook, the CEO and co-founder of Endeavour Silver. And you heard it, yeah, 2020, things are going better now, much, much better than last year. And especially Guanaceví, I would say the baby which was falling into the bathtub here is doing much, much better now. And it looks like they are exceeding what they have planned. Also, I like the conservative approach with 1450 gold average for the year, and also with approximately $17 for silver. My feeling is that the precious metals prices have much more room to rise, and hopefully that lockdown with COVID-19 will have an end by the end of April, and that we can go back to work normally. So thank you very much. Check out Endeavour Silver. It's going much, much better. Bye-bye from Switzerland.